Hi guys, welcome back. Decided to make a new video and I was inspired by this. I'm Chris and this is Late Night Dead Wax. So on Record Store Black Friday, I went out and I picked up a lot of the records that I had on my list. In fact, I got everything I had on my list. It's a pretty good outing. Picked up 9 of them. Great records. And I also picked up this. It's Steel Panther. I know they're kind of polarizing. You either love them or hate them. But regardless, the one song on it, 1987, just took me back. And all the references to all of the good music from 1987 got me thinking, wow, that could be my favorite year of music. It was, I was a teenager and I had a lot of records and a lot of them are my favorites still. So I sat down and I looked through all my records and I picked out my favorites from 1987. I thought this would be a fun series and I'll probably do a few more years. And so this is 1987. All right, gonna start out right out of the gate. This one. Appetite for Destruction changed everything. Hard rock, heavy metal, everything. You're gonna notice a lot of these are hard rock, not all. At that point in my life, I could not get enough of this record. It was an absolute smash. And Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, Sweet Child of Mine, all huge hits. There were probably a couple more. It seemed like it was all that was on the radio. And it's a masterpiece. It's like a perfect 10 record, I think. From the first track all the way through, there's no filler. It's by far their best record, and that's where I'm going to start my list. And the other huge smash of the year, Def Leppard Hysteria. This album had more hits than it had non-singles. It's another great record, and it was the soundtrack of 1987. I even had to write them down. Pour Some Sugar on Me, Hysteria, Love Bites, Animal, Armageddon, and Rocket. Armageddon It and Rocket. All hits. And boy, you just couldn't get away from Pour Some Sugar on Me. Total masterpiece. Some would argue that Pyromania was a better record. Honestly, I like them all. And this one hit right at the right moment and just absolute awesome record. My personal favorite from 1987 was Whitesnake, the 1987 record. This I had it on vinyl and cassette, and the cassette never left my Walkman that entire year. It's just such an amazing record. David Coverdale at the top of his game. Tons of hits. Here I Go Again, once again, ruled rock radio. And MTV, Tawny Kitaen on the Jaguars, it was just top-notch record. And one of my favorites from 1987. All right, so it's pretty obvious this first 3 were my favorite from the year. I mean, the ones I named first, because they were huge, impactful albums for me as a kid in 1987. But these are all good. These are all great. Like I said, this is my favorite year of music. And this is no exception. Motley Crue, Girls, Girls, Girls. What more can I say? It was kind of the peak of Motley between this and Dr. Feelgood. Maybe not their best records as a whole. I would argue that Shout at the Devil's pretty damn good. But still a good record. It hits from the beginning to the end. Yeah, there's some filler tracks. It's still a Motley record, but I totally still dig it. And Girls, Girls, Girls. I mean, what more can I say? Sticking with this theme, now we're rocking with Dokken. Dokken, Back for the Attack. Solid album. One of my favorites by Dokken. And Burning Like a Flame. What a great song. And George Lynch just, I mean, that guy could shred. And Don Dokkens' voice on this is incredible. And let's not forget, this also has the Dream Warriors on it, and they did save us from Freddy Krueger. 1987 also gave us the return to form of Aerosmith with Permanent Vacation. They had so much success in the 70s, and it all fell apart. And there were some weaker albums in there, and Permanent Vacation came back with a vengeance. And Ragdoll, what a great song. The Angel was pretty cool, and although I don't know if it really holds up to today, but Dude Looks Like a Lady was a great song. Song ironically about Vince Neil. Great record. I love Aerosmith, and this was one of their more solid efforts, I think, start to finish. And I think it really marked the return to their hit making. There were a good number of years there where they just didn't have it, but on this one they did. Another one of my favorites, the only live album on my list, and it was another one of my favorites, the only live album on my list. And what a live album it is. It's Ozzy Osbourne and Randy Rhoads, the tribute record. Ozzy put this out, obviously, 5 years after we lost Randy, and it really showcased how great of a live band they were then, and how incredible, just an incredible talent Randy Rhoads was, and how much influence they had going forward after the first two albums with him, Wizard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. Both great records. This is obviously all of that put together and live. So 1987 tribute album. Another one in the hard rock genre, White Lion Pride. I love this record. This record with me comes with some personal regret, because I went to my local record store in 1987, and I had all intentions of buying this, and instead picked up Guns N' Roses' Appetite with the original cover before the recall. And like an idiot, I put it back and ended up buying this anyway. I wasn't disappointed in this record, but because I did go back and get Guns N' Roses the following week, but I missed out on that cover. And so I'll always remember the regret of buying this, even though it is one of my favorite records from 1987. Wait, Tell Me, great songs, solid record. Faster Pussycat. Not a super popular record, but man, I love this stuff. It was the epitome of late 80s kind of hair metal sleaze rock thing going on, and the video for Bathroom Wall, awesome. As soon as I heard the song, I knew I had to have the record. I still dig Faster Pussycat. I know that they weren't as successful as some of the other ones on this list, and they didn't sell out stadiums like some of them, but they're still going, and I still dig this record. So moving on from all the hard rock and hair metal and all of that stuff, there were a lot of other great records that year, and records I loved. You wouldn't be able to tell by the beautiful locks that I used to have then that I would have listened to some of this stuff, but I did, and I loved it. A big one, Prince, Sign of the Times. This shows up on a lot of people's best albums of all time, and I can't disagree. This was the height of Prince's live performances. It's not a live record, but the tour that went with this was, if you ever get a chance, check out the movie that went with it. It was amazing. Just what a gifted performer and an amazing talent. Definitely going too soon, but we've got a lot of great classics from him. So Prince, Sign of the Times. And this one, another super iconic record, U2 Joshua Tree. This start to finish is awesome. I know I've mentioned it before, but my buddy Hans, huge U2 fan. So I definitely had to throw this in for him. Plus, it is a great record, and it is one of my favorites from 1987. It was chock full of hits. With Streets Have No Name, Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, and With or Without You. They were all over the radio, inescapable. Just a great album, start to finish. Next up, I have Kick from INXS. Another solid record, another record that I listened to a lot when I was younger, and 1987 brought us some real heat, and this is an awesome record. Need You Tonight, Never Tear Us Apart, Devil Inside, New Sensation, just solid record. Still love to listen to it. I was super excited when I picked up a copy of it, an early pressing, and then they reissued it. So I kind of wish I would have waited, but still an awesome record, start to finish. Now we have Heart, Bad Animals. Now widely regarded as one of their best records, but it did have the hit Alone, and that Alone was huge. And I just love this record. It actually is my favorite Heart record. I think it's the most solid start to finish. Just a big fan. The self-titled one that came before this, a couple of years before it, I also really dig. I'm an 80s kid, so a lot of the 70s stuff, although I really enjoy it, and as an adult going back and listening to it, I realized it was good stuff. But this always have a special place in my heart. It was such a good record. Now I know what you're thinking, Richard Marx. Really? I actually love Richard Marx, and the first three albums were great, and this is what kicked it off, the self-titled. Should Have Known Better, Don't Mean Nothing, Endless Summer Nights, Hold On to the Night. Just great songs. Gifted songwriter. Kind of didn't get the credit he deserved. Kind of got lumped in with that kind of softer side of things. But man, I dig this record. I still spin it. Richard Marx, self-titled, 1987. Being a child of the 80s, I really was into John Cougar, and then John Cougar Mellencamp, and then John Mellencamp. In 1987, he gave us the Lonesome Jubilee. It was different for me. It's a little bit more folksy, but I don't know if there's an artist that's more true to himself than John Mellencamp. And this is a solid effort. I really dig this record, and I still do. Like I said, 1987, I could have made this list 50. This would have been on. This is just a great record, and Cherry Bomb and Paper and Fire, just really cool stuff. And the Lonesome Jubilee. So 1987, Samantha Fox, self-titled, Naughty Girls. What a fun pop song. The whole album, it's just chock full of great pop songs. And it makes my list because it really does take me back. And I can remember as a teenager at the pool hearing it played over the loudspeaker on our local pop station, and the roller skating rink, and I mean, just so many memories. Samantha Fox. And my last one, save the best for last, really. No, I'm just kidding. This is a fun record. Bruce Willis. It wasn't. He's not known for his music career. He was always an amazingly talented actor with perfect comedic timing. And this album was a serious record for him. Like, he really wanted to pay homage to the music that he loved, and it comes through. Respect Yourself, the single, was got some MTV airplay, but this is a much better record than I think a lot of people remember, and I still love it. And I'm still a Bruce Willis fan. So, save the best for last. So that about does it for me. These were just the records that I loved from 1987. All of these records mean something to me, and that's why I have them. But I know that there's ones I'm missing. I know there were other great records that year. And there's a couple on my list that I still want to get, but you could definitely see where my musical tastes were in 1987 as a teenager. But big thanks to Steel Panther for the song 1987 for giving me this idea. And hopefully I'll do a couple more years. If there's a year you think I should do, drop it in the comments. And until next time. Wow. Was that too much metal? I think I just really missed my hair.